Hi, I think motorcycle riders should be able to lane filter in Texas, and I am making it my life's mission to make that happen. Motorcycle lane filtering is a riding technique where a rider moves between lanes of slow-moving or stopped vehicles, typically at a red light to advance to the front of traffic. It's different from lane splitting, which allows riding between moving traffic at higher speeds. Filtering is more of a low-speed thing. Unfortunately, on September 1st, 2023, the Texas legislature passed House Bill 4122, which updated the transportation code. This bill officially banned motorcycle lane splitting. It does not provide any exception for lane filtering at slow speeds. It just completely outlaws any rider movement between traffic, no exceptions, unless you're law enforcement. This existing law needs clarification by establishing guidelines around safe lane filtering. It was sponsored and authored by Representative Ryan Guyen and State Senator Kelly Hancock. If you're worried about riders going way too fast between cars, then you and I are on the same page. I don't want to see riders speeding through traffic either. That's not safe. In California, the Highway Patrol has guidelines for filtering. They say to do it when the speed of traffic is no more than 30 miles per hour and to not move in excess of 10 miles per hour faster than traffic with a 40 mile per hour maximum regardless. But when traffic is stopped, you can only go 10 miles per hour, splitting between the two leftmost lanes when possible, and they say to be responsible and prudent. When done properly, lane filtering can reduce traffic incidents for motorcycle riders, and it creates less traffic for everybody. And hey, as a Texan, it's a little frustrating seeing that Californians get to have this freedom and we don't. I think it's a little embarrassing, if I'm being honest. And by the way, in the last 2 years, Minnesota and Colorado legalized motorcycle lane filtering. They joined California, Utah, Arizona, and Montana. Montana? I mean, come on, Montana gets lane filtering laws and we don't? Do they even have enough traffic to filter through there? Maybe they're going between a couple horses. I'm gonna get my petition in front of the right people. Link down below. I think I'm influential enough to make this work, and I want to see this change happen because bills like the one that Ryan Guyen and Kelly Hancock passed are bad for Texas, and I don't like it when career politicians pass junk bills just to pad their resumes as a legislator. So here's the nitty-gritty. On November 9th, 2026, bill filing in the 90th Texas legislature opens up. I'm going to use my influence, my petition, and any other way I can to get someone to help author or sponsor a bill to legalize motorcycle lane filtering in Texas, the same way that they were set up in these other states. Texas traffic is not unique compared to Utah or Arizona. It's all the same car-based infrastructure. I'm gonna use the petition, my channel, and anyone else I can corral into getting this thing passed. I'm gonna reach out to the AMA, to the Texas Committee on Transportation, and any other group I can. Drop a comment if you know anybody who would be willing to help or if you yourself wanna help. Then on January 12th, 2027, that's the first day of the 90th legislature, and hopefully we can get this thing passed as a real bill, because I'm kind of sick of government taking away freedoms that we enjoy for literally no reason. I ride a motorcycle because it makes me feel free. I am not the same as car traffic. It's not a race, and we're not going to the same place. If you're a Texan, please consider signing my petition down below. It's completely free, and it's going to help out the cause. Now, I want to let loose a little bit and rant because I want to tell you how I became activated like the Winter Soldier about this topic. It's not only because I ride motorcycles in Texas and have been pulled over for lane filtering about 3 times in the last year, but because I also have a bone to pick about car-based infrastructure. Time to rant. America is a wonderful, special, and unique country in so many ways. One of the ways we're unique is that we have a transportation system that is heavily reliant on the automobile. I'm talking like 90% of all trips are taken using a car, sometimes even more depending on where you live. To the point where our entire communities, towns, cities, and shopping centers treat the automobile as some sort of preferred citizen. Minimum parking requirements, parking lots, street parking, highways just blasting through cities and communities, stroads. So many stroads. Everywhere you look, the car is given preferred access, treatment, and consideration over not only just any other form of transit, but everything else. Motorcycles, pedestrians, bicycles, trains, animals, anything. The car is number one. Worst of all, as a motorcycle rider in the States, unless you live in California or other state with lane filtering or splitting laws, there's functionally no benefit to riding a motorcycle. You're expected to sit in traffic, pretend like you're a car, even though you're not. Do you understand how humiliating that is? We are God's chosen mobility option. Motorcycles are truly giga-chad vehicles, and we have to sit amongst car traffic, even though there's space to get through, and it's right there, just waiting for the taking. If all the traffic is standing still, there's not even a risk when we filter up to the light. But nope, it's not allowed. It's a humiliation ritual, riding a motorcycle legally in Texas. It's pathetic. And worst of all, car drivers who are barely paying attention while driving get mad at us for working our way through traffic and making it better for everyone because they think it's us cutting in line.
Shut the fuck up! Why are you telling me to shut up? Because I split in the lanes?
It's maddening. And it doesn't have to be this way. We chose to make it this way. We are actively choosing to suffer and participate in what is arguably the most idiotic transit system in the developed world. We're applying early 20th century ideas to a 21st century world. Oh, and as a special side note for my fellow Texans, how does it feel knowing our state has a seemingly infinite budget for new toll roads? I'm talking multiple billions of dollars at any given time if we want to build a new toll road, but we literally cannot build not even one train between Dallas and Houston. A new toll road gets put up in 18 months. A new train spends 10 years in committee and never gets built. Awesome. Do you know what the Chinese are doing? They're pouring more concrete in a year than we've poured in 100 years. They're building infrastructure like you wouldn't believe. And what are we doing? Oh, a new toll road that cuts through everything. And we're also outright banning motorcycle lane filtering because it's not enough to have a crappy system based around cars. We need to ensure that everyone suffers, regardless of their choices. Car-based infrastructure is worse across nearly all metrics for a civilized and developed society. First of all, it takes up a ton of space that we could use for literally anything else. So even taking an American capitalist perspective, do you want a parking lot that stores a bunch of cars that just sit there, freeloading off the land, not paying taxes, not consuming, not participating? It's like the worst use of land I can possibly think of. Just endless seas of concrete and asphalt so cars can sit there 99% of the time completely unutilized. What if that parking lot or parking structure was another shopping center that could contribute to GDP, where people buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like? Classic American formula. Or, God forbid, I know this might sound a little lefty, a little socialist, but I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna say it. Maybe it could be green space that we could all just, I don't know, enjoy? That sounds good. Cars are loud, not just their exhaust, but tire noise, especially at higher speeds that we experience from roads and highways that we're all surrounded by all the time. They're fundamentally anti-human because when you build the environment around them, it becomes super hostile to walk. Do you understand how backwards this is? You think you're free in this country, but you can't even walk to the grocery store. You're expected to buy, own, register, insure, and maintain a vehicle just so you can go get some oranges or a frozen pizza. Like, what are we doing? Owning a car is not freedom, it is slavery. And this whole idea of it being your sense of freedom comes from lobbying and marketing from the car industry. In a country where people are struggling to make ends meet, a car is a gigantic anchor around most people's necks. Imagine if you didn't need to own a car. Go ahead, run that in your budget. See how much money you would save. It's a total racket, and I can prove it's a racket by opening up a history book. Cars, much like furries, are not naturally occurring phenomenon. They are instead diabolical forces of man's hubris cast upon us that we should all suffer from. Back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, most American cities were tight-knit, connected by streetcars or trams, walkable by definition. All right, there was a lot of horse manure everywhere and some open sewer lines. I'm not saying I want to live in the late 1800s, all right? Don't get me twisted. And the homes were built around people and communities utilizing porches and narrow streets. You can still see remnants of this older style of city if you look closely in older neighborhoods. So what happened, Yam? Well, car companies thought that streetcars, walkability, all that stuff, well, it was a little stupid. And to be honest, it gets in the way of the business of selling cars. So they literally torched, destroyed, lobbied against, and decimated public transit so that you can have the freedom of buying a Ford Model T. Back when we had basically no sprawl, much fewer people, and a whole lot more horse manure, all of this seemed awesome. People had personal mobility, less crap in the road, and they could go drive off in the distance and attempt to enslave children into the coal mines. Hell yeah. Then, after World War II, Americans decided that we need an interstate highway system to land an airplane anywhere in the continental United States should there be some sort of cataclysmic threat like the Soviets launching a nuke or Mecha Mustache Man rising up from the dead to finish the job. So we built highways, like a staggering amount of highways. We blasted them through cities and neighborhoods, sprawled them out into infinity and beyond, and we also gave post-war GIs government-subsidized housing via mortgages. Whoa! That sounds pretty socialist to me, investing in public infrastructure and giving people access to buy houses at affordable rates. I'm really glad I don't live back then. We have capitalist freedoms now that those lefty idiots could never dream of. So we got locked into this stupid system where cars reign supreme, and now it's all a bit difficult to tear down or rebuild into something more human-friendly. Look, I definitely skimmed over a lot of stuff in the middle there. This is not the History Channel, but think about the fact that the car industry routinely gets preferential treatment from the government in terms of bailouts or zoning laws or anything else, or how those highways were built through marginalized communities who were already excluded from participating in those socialist systems of the 50s and 60s, just to add insult to injury to those people. But you get the gist of it. So here we are, stuck in this rather stupid existence. I'm sure most of you already knew this, but I wanted to contextualize it into my motorcycle manifesto, which I do want more people to join into. That's kind of the whole thing that this channel is built on. Motorcycles have been and will always be counterculture to cars and car-based infrastructure. Bikes are smaller, they add less wear and tear to our infrastructure, and they're just cheaper to own and maintain, and they can be maintained by a normal person with normal hand tools. And best of all, they don't require a complete reconfiguring of society to allow them to exist here in America. Motorcycles coexist with other transit systems much better. It's funny, people think of bikers as not getting along with society, but we kind of get along pretty well with other modes of transit. Bikes are inherently giga-chad modes of transport. They require a higher level of skill to operate, they're more efficient, and yeah, we can admit it, they're way cooler. Sure, you can't haul a mattress or mulch with them, and it sucks when it's super hot, wet, or cold. But is life really all about being comfortable all the time? I mean, it seems that the car industry wants us to go in this direction. You step into your vaguely pleasing egg-shaped EV, and then it takes you to where you want to go without any input from you so that you can spend your time doing important things, like scrolling on your phone and buying crap online. Oh yeah, baby, that's the world I want to live in. I love brands, I love consuming, yeah. Here's the thing. Since we already have all of this kind of ugly and stupid infrastructure set up, why not just do the easiest thing? Why not incentivize motorcycle ownership and ridership? Think about it. If everyone who already owned a bike simply rode it more, because by the way, most motorcycle riders only put down about 1,000 miles a year. Those bikes are just sitting in the garage the rest of the time. If we could do that, then we'd have way less traffic instantly. If you instituted lane splitting or lane filtering laws, maybe more people would actually want to ride their bikes. So, there'd be a reason to. And hey, less traffic. And then imagine if you converted even more people to ride. That's even better. Maybe we can make parking free for motorcycles everywhere, no exceptions. I love riding motorcycles, and I do it in spite of everything in the society pushing me against owning or riding one. Imagine if we lived in a world that made it not only easy, but gave you incentives to ride a motorcycle. What if you received the tax credit for riding a bike? What about not paying tolls? Because let's be honest, we do not add wear and tear to the roads like people with their 5,000-pound EVs. There's so much meat on this bone, and I'm just spitballing here. In Texas, our roads are already very wide. We have lots of space here. I filter up to red lights all the time because there's so much space. But I always have a slight hesitation in case somebody decides to act up. Imagine if we could institute a blue lane like they have in Brazil for bikes to travel. I mean, there's so many options. But honestly, let's start small. Let's go for something simple. All I want to do is to make lane filtering legal in Texas. And hey, as one of these influential people in motorcycling, I think I have a pretty good shot of getting the ear of someone important and getting this done. So that's my spiel. Cars are lame. Some older cars are interesting and should be preserved, but Holy moly, we do not need car-based infrastructure and this weird cult-like religion around cars. I think motorcycling can be a super easy layup for fixing some of our problems. And best of all, despite my jokes about this being some kind of radical thing I'm trying to indoctrinate people into, literally nothing I suggested is new or radical. It's just best practices that already exist from other places that do this better than we do. And listen, for those of you who think it's not fair for motorcyclists to split or filter in traffic, I will reiterate for you, please pay attention. It's not a race and we are not going to the same place. We all have loved ones, we're all trying to get through traffic safely. It's not about that. Cars are expensive, they leave people in unnecessary debt, they isolate us from our communities, and they force you into being a mindless consumer shrimp boy instead of getting out there and living your life. Bikes are the answer. You filter through traffic, sip fuel, break out of the matrix. And oh yeah, you'll have a lot of fun doing it too. So help me out. Let's at least get lane filtering to be legal in Texas. I want to fight this fight. I am up for it. I'm gonna drop this link. I'm gonna talk about it more. I want to get this done because I really want to lane filter where I live. I don't want to move just so I can lane filter. Thank you for watching. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming.